Okay, my name's Zakashi, guys, and in this video here we are going to be going through some good releases and bad releases, specifically some of the units that have already dropped this year. Now this is going to be a continuation somewhat of the previous video where I talked on hype releases and good releases, as somebody asked me that I should do another one. So instead of just doing the exact same video and continuing on going further back in time, in that video I didn't really speak on anything bad, so that's what we're going to be doing in this video. In the comment section, let me know of any that you specifically agree with or disagree with, as these are only my opinion and not law. But I think most things I say, hopefully anyways, will be agreeable. Let's get into this. So we're starting here with Legends Limited Omega Shenron. This is a good release. This one here is a good release. The only thing I don't like about him is his timing. Why would he drop right after Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta? Who decided that? What type of decision making that is, I don't know, but nonetheless his value in the meta has been proven through sheer force. This guy here released right after G4, so obviously a lot of people are thinking what the hell, and then on top of that he's green. A direct weakness is going towards G4. Like, this guy here, weak against G4. You think he has no chance of survival, but then they hit us. Boom, survivability. Boom, he's also on G4's team. He's GT and a Fusion Warrior, also being used along Fusion Super Vegito. Boom, he's a powerful opponent too. High value in the game. He's beat the odds. He's able to survive against hard hitting attacks, rising rushes because they're indestructible. Then on top of that, he fits on almost every popular team. So his release was absolutely perfect. He's not too OP. He does his job on the team. He can be used offensively as well, but really and truly, I think he just sits back a little bit, does a few blast outs here and there. He even has two ultimates. Let's not even talk about that too much, even though they are the throwing type, which I don't like. But this guy here is a true menace. Do not sleep on him. Omega Shenron is actually valuable as hell. He's not too overpowered to the point where you look at him and you're directly frightened, but him in addition to his teams, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think they hit the mark with him quite greatly, and he's not doing too much at the same time. So he fits his teams. He's not destroying you to the point where he's broken or you're stressed about him. But I think it's maybe in addition to the fact that they've dropped, in addition to the idea of his release, they've dropped Rage Shenron, and that also helps a lot with him. So in general, his release, Rage Shenron counts as part of his release. It was good. I think everybody can agree it's good. I don't need to do too much talking further than this. Next up, we got Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and this is another good release in my opinion, but this might be a hot take because I know a lot of guys hate him because he's overpowered. But what I want to say is that it's good that he's overpowered. He's overpowered in a good sense, and not in a sense where he's unable to completely play against. Now with G4, he has the untouchable counter, that's what I call it, but you know, his counter where he's unable to get hit. It's obviously OP. But he's an Ultra. He's meant to be OP. Everybody would complain a lot more if he was the 6th anniversary Ultra and he was actually below par or not bringing anything like a new mechanic. Ultras are meant to be top of the game. They're meant to be a rarity higher than Legends Limited, and if you are pulling them, you'd want to get your money's worth, your Chrono Crystals worth, because these units here do not come guaranteed. There's no pity system. You might spend 100k and not get one, so if you do get one, you want to make sure it's valuable. And I think for what he is, he's an Ultra, he's an anniversary finale unit, he deserves to be overpowered, but he's also not too broken to the point where you only have to use him. I feel like if you use Ultimate Gohan, you can survive just as well. If you have Fusing Super Vegito, you can survive just as well. Fair enough, that's not a lot of choice, but it is enough choice to the point where you don't need him. But boy, does it make it a lot easier to have him. But that's the whole point, because he's an Ultra, the highest rarity in the game, not just that, an anniversary finale unit. Let me know what you guys think about that direction I've taken to say that he's a good release. I think it makes the most sense. He's a good unit as well overall. For what he is, he's supposed to be overpowered. He doesn't have anything that keeps him, that, like, I like to call it survivability. So he doesn't have any endurance, revival, comeback, indestructible. He doesn't have none of that. He's just a solid unit, 1 health bar, heals a lot, but untouchable gauge, and that's good enough for me in my opinion. He fit the bill for what he was supposed to be. Fusing Gogeta Blue. Now, this is a very good reason for multiple reasons, but the reasons aren't necessarily good reasons. I'm going to start with his strike assault, which we've all known to be flawed at this point because for one, it's the only way he can get cover null, which is obviously a downside. For two, you can't chain it into everything, so you need to be chaining cards when you're doing that and strikes at that. And if you do a green card, you're not going to get the cover null to be able to use the strike assault. And three, he doesn't draw cards while using his strike assault. But those are all flaws and why we label his strike assault flawed, but that is good because he would be broken otherwise. That makes him just good enough to be used in the meta, but not OP to be top 1 in the game. So depending on how you take it, I think he's a good release for those reasons. Of course, I've listed bad reasons, but that makes it so that he's not broken. If they fixed all of that, so he had draw speed, he was also able to chain and can immediately chain, bro, he would be the best in the game. If you guys don't know, he would be the best in the game. If every card was labeled a strike assault, every strike he does was labeled a strike assault, even without chaining, he would also be the best in the game. And that's a very small thing to fix that would make him completely broken. But also on top of that, I think he should have been the only, like possibly the only unit that released in the anniversary, especially when you compare him to the likes of Fusing Super Vegito, man. Boy, is that guy a problem with his Rising Rush. That's absolutely toxic of a mechanic. It's too toxic. The mechanic's too toxic. But this guy here, when you deal with his strike assault, you know it's coming to an end at some point. But Fusing Super Vegito, once you get rushed, yeah, just put the phone down, put the fries in the bag. You're done. There's no way out of that unless you've got an indestructible unit. Even Revival, you're getting cooked unless you're Ultimate Gohan. And you're going to need comeback or something, you know? It's very hard to overcome, but this guy, there are some drawbacks which make him a very healthy release, I feel. His animations were super good. People were expecting a Vegito, but specifically a Vegito that just wins every Rising Rush. It's a bit much, it's a bit much. But Gogeta, I think, did everything great. He also has the player-based bias, meaning that people were more likely to summon for him just off being Gogeta than Vegito. Specifically Super Vegito anyways. I don't know how the people in the Legend community feel about Vegito Blue in-game. But Gogeta Blue specifically definitely has the player-based bias. Not the Dragon Ball fan-based bias but necessarily, but the player-based bias for sure. That was shown by him being the #1 unit in the most used unit list for BR70 players and above. So high-ranked players were using him, even though in hindsight we all know that Fusing Super Vegito is better. I spent a bit too much time talking on this guy, but you guys can tell why he's super healthy in general. So I think in everything that he's done, with him being flawed, we take him with his flaws, we accept him. He is a very good release. Right, so next up we have Nappa and Vegeta, and I wouldn't be calling this unit a good release if Ultra Golden Frieza didn't exist. I feel like this unit on their own isn't that great, but in addition with Ultra Golden Frieza, they are amazing. But also in hindsight, if you do have this unit, you can use them as an extra survivability factor on top of the Fusion Warriors that we got in the anniversary, which make them healthy for bringing back the likes of Vegeta Clan. Vegeta Clan isn't a popular team, let's call a spade, but if you do or use or you are a fan of Vegeta Clan, having Nappa and Vegeta is super valuable. But Frieza Force specifically is the team that saw a lot of light. Powerful Opponent as well, if you want to put them in that direction, saw a lot of light. Simply because this unit has Revival, so they do their job in terms of taking hits, but also can dish out some damage. So obviously you have Nappa, then you revive into Vegeta. Now, if I go ahead and type nullifiers for you, I'll type that because I cannot spell. You can see that the unit here does a lot of things that allow them to basically not be affected. So from the main ability here, you can see it applies the buff effect, nullifies enemy destroys card effects for 15 timer counts. If we go down another one, you can see here applies the buff effect, nullify enemy reduce key effect. So they're just not going to be disrupted basically. And I think that's what I like about them in general. They're able to survive a lot of things. Even here, the green card, they get Covenant. So blue card here, that's normal though, that's everybody, because they have a legendary finish. But in general, they're nothing too amazing, but they also add disruption to the enemy. So you can see here downgrades and whatnot. They're nothing too amazing, but they're a good addition. And I think specifically because the developers value revival, they don't go too hard on the kits for units that have revival. Subpar Golden Frieza, but that's not revival anyway, so game is game. But yeah, I think Nappa and Vegeta served purpose for a short amount of time, but if you do have them high stars, don't sleep on them. Or if you go up against a high star Nappa and Vegeta, don't sleep on them. They will cause you some problems. They will rough you up. Don't sleep on them. They are that guy at high stars, especially with the Zenkai boss alongside Golden Frieza. You gotta be careful. Next up, we got Mr. Super Gauge 2 Gageoraga Maharaga, the adaptation genius here. If you let this guy's gauge fill, you're going to be hit with something powerful, and you better dodge it or you're gonna be dying. This guy here is a problem. He's good on the defensive end. He's good on the offensive end. He supports the team too. What doesn't he do? The only thing bad about him was the timing of his release. Now, he released prior to the anniversary, and Super Baby 2, let's call a spade, he's not exactly hyped for the majority of the player base. So a lot of people skipped him. I also advise people skip him because you didn't want to miss out on the anniversary units. And even in hindsight, it's still not realistic to summon on him when he released, because they ended up releasing Fusing Vegito and Gogeta, which are just way more hype. But if you did invest in this guy, boy, is he such a good unit for GT, Saiyans, regen, powerful opponent. How greedy. He's on every single team. It's not fair, honestly. He does everything as well. His ultimate, which is something that a lot of people sleep on, right? If your gauge is full, then he's able to lock you in, which is obviously nuts. It's just nuts. You're not going to be able to escape. This is the blue card I'm looking at. I don't know what's wrong with me. If we look at the ultimate here, inflicts enemy with no switching, free timer count. So it's not a no switching completely. No, it's a no switching. It's not a timer count up. That's what I wanted to say. So his ultimate is going to go crazy. His blue card empties his gauge as well, which is obviously super dope. His ultimate also empties his gauge. That's the ways, if you're wondering. So pretty much every single time I believe his gauge fills, he's going to just throw a blue card at you. And when his gauge fills, he's going to break your combo. He has Blast Arm on his strike. He's actually a powerhouse unit. But because he's Super Baby 2, the player bias basically pushed against him. But if you do have him, trust me, he puts up crazy numbers. So being an unpopular unit, but a super good unit, but not enough to the point where people were able to, well, going out their way to summon on you, really did a lot in my opinion. So it's like a positive negative, balances it out. You get a neutral. Super Baby 2 is a great unit that didn't see spotlight. That's why I see him as, that's why I've got him here in these good release section. Now the last unit we got in the good releases is Bomku, Universal Spirit Bomb Goku. This kid here, he was meant to have a much higher ceiling, and I feel like he could still go up in value going in the future. I've used him a bit and he still is super valuable if you use him correctly, you build him correctly. He was prophesized or hyped up to be the MVP 17 of 2024, and I think he's done a very good job of meeting that standard, because a lot of people don't consider the standard of units have gone up greatly, basically forcing this guy to have a much harder job of surviving. In general, his kit isn't built the same as MVP 17. It does have the survivability factor with his gauge healing, endurance, the buff cancellation, but he doesn't have the double vanish, and that's probably been substituted for his main ability. So if the enemy is one person left, his main ability will remove vanish and basically give you a free ultimate. If there's only 2 people left, it locks in. So that is also very useful, which MVP 17 in 2023 did not have. We also, I already spoke about it a little bit, but we have to dive into the competition, man. The 2023 units were nowhere near as powerful as these 2024 units. Super 17, Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Golden Frieza, Fusion Super Vegito, Gogeta Blue, Ultimate Gohan, G4. MVP 17 did not have to deal with these competitors. You know, it's tough. It's tough. So I think for the competition he had, he served a great purpose, and if you still want to use him, you can get some amazing results out of him. But I'm not going to act like he's the best unit in the game. But for what he is to start off the GT motion for 2024, I think he was an amazing choice to be that base level platform that can get your team up on the field. Especially if you are a GT guy, you saved your Chrono Crystals. This was a very good starting point in my opinion. He does a great job of tanking, but also putting out some damage, and he heals a lot, cancelling buffs. He's a good unit to keep your team alive. That's why I have to put him on the good releases. I have to respect him for that. So we're gonna head into the bad releases, and this is a part 2 unit, which is arguably the best unit we got in the anniversary. Just kidding, but definitely arguably the second best unit we got in the whole anniversary. Don't know why they just decided to give Ultimate Gohan, or Gohans in general, just everything. He can literally throw out blue cards every 2 seconds, has card draw speed of death, he has endurance, buff cancellation, vanish removal, insane amount of damage. It's like, bro, vanish increase as well. He gets his vanish back. He nullifies endurance on blue and ult, I think. Bro, they just gave him everything, making him better than almost everybody. And it's quite toxic to think that they do that. And then on top of that, they make him purple, which also counters God Goku greatly, making God Goku basically irrelevant. Irrelevant. And that's sad. That's sad, man. Also, you didn't need to exist. You didn't need to exist. And your animations aren't even that good. They're not even good. No, oh my god. Like, your anniversary units and your animations are not even that good. You could have had more aura. There was no white glow. Barely any of it, if any. Bro, it was just, man, they just decided to throw in an OP Gohan. They're like, yeah, my fault. Sorry, bro. Sorry, bro. Like, that's what they're just looking at saying sorry, bro. But that's not fixing it. They already dropped an OP unit and we gotta suffer and deal with it. There's nothing more to say, you know? The timing of it in part 2 is like, bro, man. Hey, man, don't know what they were cooking with this one. Who decided to drop a Gohan in the anniversary? I hear the Majin Buu saga stuff, but brother, like, this is too much. It's too much. And with that being said, we got God Goku. Now, God Goku is actually a very good choice of a unit to drop for the part 2 of the anniversary. People were foreshadowing or speculating rather prior to the anniversary that God Goku was going to come for the anniversary. People thought he was going to be a part 1 headliner. He's not hype enough for that. He don't have that pull. I'll let you guys know from now. This is why he's not a headliner. He's a part 2 of the anniversary. But my issue isn't that he dropped. He is a very good choice. And you'll probably think, wait, this is a bad release? Why? It's because he sucks. It's because he sucks. He done nothing but feed on people's dreams. People summon on this guy because it's God Goku, and fair enough, you can use him. But in comparison, he sucks. Maybe not even in comparison. The fact that he doesn't get key and card and entry is just poor, man. Like, bro, you enter the battlefield and you get all of these, yeah, and then you just don't get a card or key. This is 2024. You can't be coming with no card or key. You're a broke bum, God Goku. You should have been so much better. The devs did you so dirt. The choice of the unit was good, but because you suck, you're simply a bad release. It was a pointless release. Having this guy doesn't change anything for you, honestly. It just doesn't. It doesn't do anything for you. Besides from the fact that you're satisfied you have a good unit with good animations. His animations are magnifique. It's low-key turned French there for a second, but don't watch that. Damn. I don't want to slander him too much, but just keep him in story mode and use him for fun. If they made his kit better, then he wouldn't be in this section. But for a choice, he was good. But for his kit, whoever designed him was not cooking. Don't know why they hate Super Saiyan God, but apparently they do. Next up, we got fusing Super Vegito. I'm not actually in disagreement of fusing Super Vegito's release. I do think it was very unnecessary, but I think it was a bad release because he's quite toxic. And I say toxic because of his Rising Rush mechanic. The fact that he's able to win every Rising Rush is absurd. Do you know how many times I've been like 1v1, like in the last sense, where two of our units died, mine and the enemies, and then in the last play, Super Vegito rushes me. I don't even have a chance to pick it. And you know when your last stand, your Rising Rushes just do 10x more damage. That's an exaggeration, but it does more damage. So it's like, broski, how am I supposed to overcome this unit that's going to win every Rising Rush? Even if I pick the card, if I'm not using a unit like Ultimate Gohan with the endurance intact so he can cancel the buffs, and assuming my buffs haven't been cancelled throughout the whole battle because he gets buffs, he cancels buffs from blue cards, Ultimate Artists as well. You know, I can't do anything to beat Super Vegito. I just can't. They also tag switch into Synchro faster than anything I've ever seen. You press a green card, look. You press the green card, yeah, and then it fills your switch gauge 100%. So let's say I'm Vegeta, green card, tag switch. I get another green card with Goku, green card, tag switch. That's already 50% to my Synchro. Then I can just do 2 combos or get hit. That's another Synchro and then another Synchro. If one person on my team dies, immediately 100% to the Synchro. The Synchro is speedy. It's meant to be faster than Gogeta Blues. It's meant to be faster than tag switching than any other unit. It's dumb. He's correct. It's meant to be like that. And I think he's too OP for his own being. I genuinely don't feel like winning every Rising Rush should ever have been a mechanic in the game, because Rising Rushes are timeless. He's immortal. You might say it's glazed, but honestly, further down the line, you're going to see him age, and he won't age because Rising Rushes don't age. That's just the end of it. But yeah, that's my beliefs behind Super Vegito, but it's not because of him specifically. Even though I think his release is still unnecessary, it's specifically because he can win every Rising Rush Rager, and I think that's a bad release because of that. We've got Super Vegeta here, and I think this is a very bad release. I think this is, I'd go as far to say this is the worst release in 2024. It's going to be the worst release in 2024, even if they drop a unit that literally forces you to forfeit. Super Vegeta is still worse, and you know why? It's because he does nothing. He does nothing, absolutely nothing. He is the most pointless release I've maybe ever seen in Dragon Ball Legends. As a premium unit specifically, you have to consider the height of what he is. He is literally one step below Ultra. When you put it like that, it's like, oh yeah, he is. Ultra, then Legends Limited. That's what he is. That's what he's supposed to be. Not a Sparking, not regular Sparking. He's a Legends Limited, one below Ultra. How's he done that then? Just to be dead on release, worse than God Goku. Do you know how much of a low you have to be worse than God Goku? Everything about this guy is bad. His animation's basically poor. Nothing amazing at all. The final flash does not look great. His kit in general is just bad. He doesn't do damage. His stats are terrible. His ultimate art, we thought it was sweet, but it's the throwy type. So then it's mad slow, gang. It's hard to chain in some cases. It's just overall a bad kit. And then if you want to make it even worse, he's on Vegeta Clan. Who the hell is using Vegeta Clan in 2024? It's so sad, because I actually wanted this guy to be good. Like when they showed Super Vegeta, I was like, oh yeah, they got a chance to do something good. They could have made the animation so much better. They could have worked with the camera work, because you know how they do some people's camera work very good. They've done that with God Goku. They've done that with Super Vegito. They've done so much camera work with a lot of units. They could have just made Vegeta's final flash so much more spectacular, at least in his animations. If they're gonna sell his kit, make his animations good like they did God Goku. But they just didn't even do that either, and I think overall they fumbled the bag on this unit. They should have kept this one in the vault, put the fries in the bag, just keep releasing what they know to release. But this one here, they tried to do fan service and they just gave the fans crumbs. Not even crumbs, these are like dust spectacles. How bad they did him. Boy, what was the point of this? What was the actual point? They even tried, they had the audacity to drop him that extra equip, and I think they Zenkai'd 8 Vegeta. That didn't do anything. I'm sorry, Legends, please don't drop Vegetas like this. You did Nappa and Vegeta good, you know, you did the fusing Gogeta and Vegeta good, but Goku's on those units and Vegeta and Gogeta on those units. Just make a Vegeta that's alone and decent, please. Don't mess up Ultra SSBE, Margin Vegeta or something like that. Just please. Thank you. For the same reasons as Ultimate Gohan, why do they decide to give Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohans, or every Gohans, everything? Now, how do I look at this? His release was quite random. When did he drop? Like April? It was like, bro, the anniversary is like next month. I don't think they realized that. They probably did, and they just like, you know what? Let's just drop a Gohan that's gonna change everybody's feelings. It's like, brother, my brother, like, who decided this guy should have everything? He has the Nameku counter. He has the strike counter. He has an explosive green. He has endurance. He has anti-blast, which is not consistent, but it also applies to his teammates. Boy, that's excessive. He has 2 ultimates. He has vanish gauge increase on last stand. He's an insane last stand unit as well. In addition to that, he has insane amount of cover null. Did I miss anything? I mean, at the time he's green, so he was pretty safe. I think only people countering him was like Ultra Golden Frieza. He is a problem. He is a problem. He was a problem. One of the biggest rats in Dragon Ball Legends history. We have to look at him for what he is. It's very... Oh, type neutral. I forgot to mention that. It's very unnecessary to drop Gohans all the time that just do everything. Seal's Rising Rush, Seal's main ability. It's like they just say, how much can we put in his kit? Or maybe they spin a wheel like 50 times and they just put stuff in his kit and they're like, yeah. Oh, he also has damage up on his strike. Very unnecessary for a range type unit. Very unnecessary. Also, he's Sun Family and Hybrid Saiyan. That should go without saying, obviously, because he's a Gohan. But then he's going to fit with all the most powerhouse units that exist. And that obviously isn't nice when you're trying to run a GT team, when you're trying to run a powerful opponent team, when you're trying to run Frieza Force team, you're trying to run something that isn't Sun Family Saiyans. Do you know what I mean? It's very hard to overcome with the way they decide to juice Gohans all the time. It's not fun. You just know Legends is going to go slightly downhill when they release a Gohan. But boy, is he good. But it was just unnecessary to drop this guy, I think. Or at least as stacked as he was. If he was just slightly worse, it'll be like whatever. But he was just a bit too much. It was a bit too much. The last man for the video, and I'm sure you guys were waiting for this guy to show up on the bad releases. Super 17. Super 17, Mr. 1943, Prime Emperor. People don't like this guy, and I would go as far to say he is one of the worst releases in Dragon Ball Legends history for two simple reasons, maybe even three, right? And I actually like Super 17. I was very hyped to get Super 17 once I knew he was a Fusion Warrior already because he's not the first Super 17 in Legends. But once I saw him at the Battle Hour, if you guys don't know, I live in London, the United Kingdom, bottle of water and that. And I flew out to Los Angeles and I saw this guy get revealed. So obviously I was geeked, you know? I had to pull this guy. I was there in person, you know? I had to. I couldn't go without getting this guy. And of course, I do have this guy 14 stars. And boy, is it experience using Super 17, the Supreme Emperor. This guy here is a problem. Now, if you don't know why he's a problem, his tap attacks, where is it? Here we go. The following effects occur upon landing a tap attack: third attack, tap shot, or quick attack hit. This is where it is a problem. Seals enemy strike and special move art. So that means he's the strike card, the red card, if you don't know, and the blue card. Not the ultimate, but the blue card that usually costs 50. Having those sealed for a simple tap shot, which a tap shot costs nothing, by the way, it's free. So I can come up quick, and then next thing you know, you can't play. You know why? Because you're using a melee team. Whoa. Super 17 hits you with a blast that follows up immediately. You're forced to vanish, and the vanish comes late. So you have to actually back up harshly, or you have to deal with another set of tap attacks because Super 17 is going to blast starts cancel into the tap attacks. Unless you have something like a green card that specifically counts as blast, or I don't know, G4 now, but in his prime that doesn't exist, you were cooked. Next up, we got his green card. His green card here inflicts no switching, reduce your vanish to 0, and the no switching is only twice, but the odds are you're gonna land it twice and win the game after that. But the vanish engage to 0 is every single time, which is absurd, which is, bro, it's dumb. 50% blast damage as well. Seals mains, Seals rising rushes. That's not even, that's just hitting it. It doesn't even matter. He also goes type neutral just off hitting it. So you don't even need to absorb a blast, you know. When he absorbs a blast, so his tap shots and blasts very easy. You could just sit back at long range, or you can switch in and do it. You know, free combo for you. Pretty nice, I guess. It's super toxic. Super toxic. But then his kit in general, I think he has the fastest filling gauge in the game. He chains and gets cover null every single time. He does insane blast damage, and he's just going to keep filling his gauge. He gets an extra blast when you try to switch out, so his combo will go on forever. And every time the enemy, I think, uses a card, he gets a full deck of cards too. So it's like, brother, you can't beat this guy. You actually can't beat this guy. This guy in his prime was a unit to see, and he was also super juiced. Zenkai buff by Super 7. I mean, Zenkai buff by a Cell, Revival Cell, Fusion 13. I think Omega Shenron, yes, him as well. And Red Vegito and Super Gogeta, Red Super Gogeta. Like, bro, this guy was a problem, and it was a time to witness. If you did not have Super 17, man, you were cooked. One of the worst releases ever in Dragon Ball Legends history because of how toxic he is, not because he's Super 17 though. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think about my thoughts on all of these units for the good releases and the bad releases. I think I pretty much hit the nail on the head with all of these points that I've listed, but of course you might disagree with me on some things, and you could easily see a lot of these in different perspectives. For example, I think sometimes it's good to make units that are not necessarily good OP, such as Super 17. Maybe he was too OP though, that's why I put him in the bad section. But of course, if you haven't already, make sure to press that subscribe button. We're on this grind to 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching the video, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.